Hey everybody, today Rahdo runs through Jen's top 10 games.
I'm Jennifer Ham, and I approve this message.
We actually practiced that quite a bit. That was like the 5th take, and that was the best she could do. You almost think I had a teleprompter up off screen. She could not remember her one line. But anyway, I think we'll just roll with it.
Yeah.
Are you fine with that? All right, that was our bit. That was our gag. Hope you enjoyed that little bit of political humor. Okay, hi everybody, I'm Rahdo. Right off camera is my wife, Jen. That could have been my hand for all you knew. There you go. You can tell those are very ladylike fingers. Oh, that was Jen's wedding ring, okay. Which she designed herself, she's a former jeweler. Anyway though, I am going to be doing a rundown of Jen's top 10 games because in a recent poll I did of my viewers and my backers, Jen's top 10 games was by far the most requested top 10 game, completely eclipsing anything else. You guys really want to know what her favorite games are. And so a couple nights ago, we sat down for probably the better part of an hour, just tore games off the shelves, left, right, and center. You can see there's still a bunch of holes because she can't just look at the box and know what it is. We had to get the games out and open the box, and I had to, okay, Henry, this is the game where we do this and this and this, because she's not a diehard gamer. She just enjoys playing games with me. So it was quite the arduous task. And at the end of it, Jen came up with a list of 26 games. This was like a real Sophie's choice for her. She could not actually narrow it down to 10. And I'm like, honey, it's a top 10. That's the whole format. It's what the people want. She said, no. I can't say no to any of these games. I cannot turn any of them away. They are all my babies. Okay, so we eventually reached a compromise. She was willing to give a top 10 and even, do as numerically break them down. So we actually have a top 10. But before we can get to that, we have to give you the 16 runners-up. Yes, 16. That was the only way I could get her to complete the task. And we are now ready to go. And so, honey, in no particular order, here we have the 16 runners-up, starting with Trois. Now, actually, I've done run-throughs for a lot of these games, and so at the end of this video, there will be a link on screen if you want to go and watch the run-throughs and learn more about these games. So, for the most part, I'm going to be able to go through these pretty quickly because I've already done a lot of talking about them. But Trois is a wonderful, wonderful game. It is a worker placement with dice, kind of. Every round, everybody rolls their dice, puts them into the center of this city, and then, bundles them up, bundles different combinations of dice up to be able to do different activities at the different buildings. And the trick of the game is, if you don't have the dice you need in your section of the town, you can buy dice from your opponent that maybe they wanted really bad too. And while you're doing all that, you're also trying to fight off all the problems that are plaguing the city of Trois. It's an absolutely amazing game. It's one of my absolute favorites. Didn't quite make Jen's top 10, but it's a wonderful, wonderful game. You can go check out my run through to learn more. Honey, and apparently somebody's calling, so Jen has been, oh no, you hung up on him?
I silenced it.
She silenced it. Whoever they are, you people are more important. Next runner-up, she did not silence it. Just go ahead and answer. Just go ahead and answer.
Hello?
Okay, I believe she has inadvertently hung up on the nice people, whoever they were. So, let's continue with Forbidden Desert. This is why you never work with amateurs, folks. All right, Forbidden Desert, I've done a run through for this. Fantastic game. This was, I think, my number 2 for 2013. I rate this game really, really high, and Jen loves it as well. It comes in this wonderful tin. It's a great kind of simplified version of Pandemic, which is a game you might be seeing a little bit later. Spoiler alert. And the thing that's really unique about this game is, if you remember, maybe growing up, you had one of those sliding puzzles, where there's a bunch of tiles and there's a hole in the middle, and you slide them around to make a picture or make the numbers in order. This takes that and builds an entire game around it because the board itself is constantly sliding. It's absolutely brilliant. Everybody has unique power as we race against time to escape the Forbidden Desert. Wonderful game. Jen's second runner-up.
Also loved.
Her second, also loved, apparently, is her new turn. What's next, honey? Alrighty, Among the Stars. This is an excellent, excellent game. And interestingly, Jen rates this higher than Seven Wonders. For people who are out there who are wondering, Seven Wonders Among the Stars, Seven Wonders? Jen goes, Seven Wonders did not make the list, Among the Stars did. And I mentioned Seven Wonders because this game is the other big card drafting game. Of course, there's lots of card drafting games out there, like Seven Wonders. But this one and Seven Wonders are the ones that really leverage that and make that a huge part of the game. And so when you're leveraging cards to get the right space station cards, so you can build your own personal space station, and you're customizing it based on what cards you get. You're focusing on different paths to victory. There's already an expansion out for this called Among Stars and the Ambassadors. There's actually some promo cards that feature me. I don't think that swayed Jen. I don't think that put this on your list, the fact that you can actually play as me in this game.
I don't particularly like your look.
I'm sorry, Konstantinos. Jen was not actually pleased with my alien appearance. But anyway, Among the Stars is a fantastic game. Really, really rock solid, card drafting plus tile laying game. Wonderful, wonderful game. If you can find it. It's kind of hard to get, but that's it. Next up, we have Suburbia. This is a beauty. Of all the myriad SimCity style board games that are on the market, for Jen's and my money, this is still the best. Although, we just have only recently become exposed to the Capitals, which was a very, very good game too. But it didn't make Jen, she's grimacing that I've actually mentioned a game that didn't make her favorites. She doesn't, okay, I'm only gonna talk about the games that are on the list from now on. Sorry, Seven Wonders, sorry, Capitals. This is a fantastic game. It is also a tile laying game where you get all these little hexagon tiles that represent different elements of a city, and you're trying to build your own separate little city and get synergy between all the different tiles you lay down. But here's what's probably the most interesting thing about this game. It's fast, it's clean, this is a good gateway game. You can play this with anybody. But what's interesting is we're not actually building individual cities, we're building suburbs of a central city. And so what I do in my suburb can affect what happens in your suburb. And that's probably one of the things that makes this one stand out from all the other SimCity style board games. Suburbia, fantastic game. What do we got next, 25? Fresco. I've done a run through this. Actually, I should say every game you've seen so far, I've done a run through for. Again, there will be links. Fresco, awesome game. I expect this is in part on Jen's list because she herself is an artist.
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, we talked quite a bit about, is Jen going to give her reasons, or she decided up front she wanted me to give her reasons and she would just interject because she's just really not comfortable talking on camera, as you guys saw from our opening bit. Anyway, so it's a very, very cool game where players play Renaissance painters, kind of, Raphael, Michelangelo types, who have been commissioned to paint this fresco on the ceiling of a big church. And you spend a lot of time mixing paints to get the right paints, going to the market to get the right paints, making money on the side, doing portraitures, and this game has a ton of expansions. You could play this game 100 different ways every year and get a radically different game because of so many different expansions you can turn on and off. We absolutely love it. You can check out the run through for more. That's Fresco.
And it's also a really good gateway.
Oh yes, and Jen would also like to add, it's a fantastic gateway. We've had excellent experiences introducing new players to modern designer board games with Fresco. Wonderful for that purpose also. The Cave. See, I was really surprised. I was surprised when Jen put this one out instead of K2. These are both K2 and The Cave are from Adam Kaluza, who is a real-life extreme adventurer who has actually climbed K2 himself. And so these games really reek of atmosphere and authenticity. You in this game really do feel like you are making decisions you would have to make as a, what's the term? A speleologist. As a cave explorer, as you balance the resources you're carrying on your back as you go deeper and deeper into this cave, trying to explore all its nooks and crannies to really take pictures and go scuba diving and whatnot, basically just to map out the cave. That is the sole purpose. Whoever does the best job mapping this cave is the winner. And a big part of the game is resource management because you can only carry so much stuff. And if you get out there and you run out of resources, you're in trouble. Very, very tense game, very exciting. Every game plays differently because you get such a wonderful sense of exploration. You never know what's around the corner in the cave. What do we got next?
You haven't done a run through of that.
I'm sorry, what?
You haven't done a run through of that one, right?
Yes, I have. I have done a run through for The Cave. Glory to Rome, which I've also done a run through for. Actually, This one, not too long ago when we were in Greece, Jen and I, we were in one of our rare opportunities to play with other players, but there were too many, and so there were multiple games going on, and I had to teach a game to somebody, and so Jen was off by herself at another table, and I was just, involved in teaching, and I looked over and I was shocked. Jen was teaching other people how to play Glory to Rome, which was a big deal. And I guess to a certain extent that can kind of underline just how much Jen loves this game, that she knows it well enough to teach to people. And the game itself is absolutely amazing. I'm not going to take the box out. It's got a very, I know you really like the look of this new version. I mean, Jen's a big fan. I know it's a real Marmite. Some people love it, some people hate it. Jen loves the new graphic design that was done for this reprint that's incredibly hard to get now. Sorry to say it's on Jen's list if you might have a hard time getting it. But it's an amazing game all about rebuilding Rome after the great catastrophes. And it's a card game where every card, this will be a recurring theme. Every card has multiple purposes. You can use the cards for building resources. You can use the cards for clients. You can use the cards for all kinds of stuff. And it gives you so much flexibility. Every game plays radically differently. There's lots of different stuff going on in Glory to Rome. CV. Oh, I did a run through for this. This is probably one of the newest games on Jen's list. In fact, I think it might be the new, looking around. Yes, this is the newest game Jen has done. We picked it up at SN 2013. In all honesty, I didn't really expect to pick this up originally. I only picked it up because the publisher, Grana Games, if you bought it, they were giving out a really nice tote bag that I needed desperately to carry around all the games on the floor. But I am so glad they were giving away that tote bag because this game is awesome. I've done a run through for it, you can see more, but in a nutshell, this basically takes the ideas of Yahtzee. You're rolling dice, although they're special dice. Instead of 1s, 2s, and 1 through 6s, they have happy faces and frowny faces. Sides for relationships and and income and health. And so, but you're rolling these dice, 3 times, keeping what you want, and trying to get sets of symbols that match all these different cards that are coming out every turn. And slowly, over the course of the game, you end up telling the life story of a person, all the way from their childhood, where you have cards that detail who their childhood friends were, about how they had a childhood piggy bank. And those things in childhood affect you in adulthood, and it goes all the way into old age as you go through all the different eras of your life. The thing about this game is it's light, it's fast, it's fun, and it actually tells an amazing story. Everybody gets to tell a unique, amazing story every time you play. We were both totally blown away by this game. This is one of the best games of 2013 as far as I'm concerned, so I'm not surprised it made Jen's. And did this almost make your top 10, or where was it? Oh, she doesn't even want to think about that, folks. I broke the rules, sorry. But anyway, that's CV. What's next? Lords of Waterdeep. Now, I've done a run through for this one also. This is a great. In fact, this made my top 10 gateway games, if you've seen my run through there. This is a wonderful gateway game. This basically, you could consider this Game of Thrones, the board game. That if you have anybody in your life who loves Game of Thrones, or for that matter, Lords of the Rings, get this game and you will be able to convince them because you will feel like you are, who runs Gondor? The steward. You are the steward of Gondor, or you are, King Joffrey running King's Landing, because everybody is a Lord of Waterdeep, kind of manipulating what's going on behind the scenes, recruiting warriors and wizards and rogues and clerics to complete quests, and whoever does that the best wins. This is a fast, fun, easy game that just makes an excellent gateway. And so why is it on your list? Actually, I didn't really talk to you about this one.
God, I just like it.
Okay, that's all we're going to get, folks. Moving on to London. Now, in part, this is going to make the list because Jen and I, we lived in England for almost a decade, not quite. And Jen has a huge love affair with London. I apparently, in my... when I was Geek of the Week a couple of weeks ago, somebody asked, what's your favorite city? And I said Seattle. And Jen saw that and said, no, London. London is the greatest city in the world. Jen, if we were ever to live in a major metropolitan city, it would be London as far as she's concerned. But enough about that. Done a run through so you can already see this, but this is an excellent game that basically charts the historical development of London ever since the Great Fire of 1888. As players are kind of building their own boroughs by playing cards. And this is another one of those games where cards have multiple uses. Specifically, you can either use cards to get them played to your borough so that, they can give you victory points or fight fight pollution and crime or all kinds of stuff, or you use them as currency to play other cards. So you got a list of cards in your hand. You want to play all of them because they're all awesome. There's not a bad card in this game. Every single one is useful. And what makes this game tick is, which cards do I have to get rid of to play the cards I want? It's always really tense, really exciting. And again, does a wonderful job of telling the evolution of London, which some people say is the greatest city in the modern world.
Quite a few people say it.
Alrighty. Dixit. All right. Interestingly, this is a unique place in our collection. This is the only game we own that requires at least 3 players. You cannot play this. Every other game you will ever see me run through plays well, unless I say otherwise, with 2 players. This one you cannot play with 2 players, but we keep it anyway because Jen loves it. It gives her warm, fuzzy feelings inside. She loves this game so much. If any muggle, any person who does not know board games comes to our house, they won't leave without having played this. It's just the way it is. This is a great way to get to know somebody. It's a wonderful, fun party game where everybody gets a handful of these gorgeous, wonderful, sort of abstract pieces of art. So you have this hand of cards, and one person plays a card and gives plays it face down so nobody knows what card they played, and comes up with what's called a story. It could be a word, it could be a sound, it could be a snippet of a song, it could be a poem, it could be anything. And then everybody picks a card from their own hand and puts it into the pile as well. Then all the cards are revealed. Nobody knows whose cards they are, except for, I know what card I put it, but I don't know who's everybody else's cards. And everybody has to see if they can guess what was the card chosen by the person who told the story. And, it just, hilarity ensues. There is always going to be, how could you say that's Mary Poppins? That has nothing to do with Mary Poppins. And they say, oh, look, see, there's an umbrella in the background of the picture. And it's just an amazing game. So much fun. We have played this a lot with Jen's parents. Yeah. Her father, he comes up with the most crazy, random stuff. And I think Jen has gotten to know her dad a little bit better thanks to Dixit. All right, love that game. All righty, next up, Gates of Loyang. I've done a run through for this. This is an excellent game. Some people say that this really should just be considered a 2-player game. We've never played it with more than 2. This is from Uwe Rosenberg, the designer, one of the premier designers of the world. He's done Agricola. Recently, he's done Caverna and stuff like that. And this is this game doesn't get near as much love as some of his bigger ones, his Ora et Laboras and all of that, even though it's a fantastic game. We are literally farmer merchants working at the Gates of Loyang, trying to focus our attentions on growing vegetables in our own little vegetable plots and storing them long enough to attract customers at our market stall who want certain things. This customer wants 4 deliveries of beans and other types of beans. I don't remember what type they are. And so if you can set up you're basically setting up a supply and demand chain. And if you can do that well and meet the needs of all the customers that are coming in without running out of space, you can travel furthest up the path of prosperity. It's a wonderful, wonderful game. Every time we play, we just get this huge, complex system of plants we're growing, setting up for the customers, but will we get that customer? Will somebody else get the customer? Very cool, wonderful, wonderful game. Alrighty. Galaxy Trucker. This one actually surprised me. It made it on Jen's list, but I guess we've only played it a few times, but it must have really stuck with her from designer Vlaada Chvátil. This will not be Vlada's last game on the list, by the way. You may or may not know it. This is basically a real-time jigsaw puzzle. When you start playing the game, you have an hourglass sand timer, and time starts counting right there. And time starts counting down very quickly as everybody is reaching into this big pile of tiles that represent different pieces of spaceships. And we're trying to grab pieces that we can put on our board to build a Galaxy Trucker, a big trucking spaceship. And so we're trying to grab pieces that will give us our engines and lasers to protect ourselves from aliens and storage compartments and living crew quarters and shields and all this stuff. But time is running out and you're in a race, and it can be very, very tricky finding pieces that snap together very well. But once you've done that and time has run out, first of all, you find out if you made any mistakes. Because if you made any mistakes, those pieces get removed. And that might cause your whole ship to shatter right there if one crucial piece gets removed. But even if it survives that, then it goes on its its galaxy truck and has to pick up and deliver cargo around the galaxy. And along the way, it's constantly under assault, and depending on how well you built your ship, you see how well it survives to the very, very end, and hopefully you make it back to the finish line with some small smidge of your ship still alive and a few pieces. It's a hilarious game, very, very funny, and interestingly, Jen often has a very, very hard time with real-time games. But this one,
Yeah, the timer is really stressful for the most part for me, and this one it isn't for some reason.
For some reason, Jen, does not enjoy stressful, high-pressure games, but she can handle it here, and so Galaxy Trucker made her also loved. Confusion from Stronghold Games. This is actually a reprint of a classic game, I think, from the early 80s. This is actually, I believe, the oldest game we own. Normally we don't have much patience for older designs. I mean, we find they have a really hard time keeping up with the sensibilities of more modern board games. But this one, this could have been designed yesterday. It's classic, it's timeless, it's wonderful. In a nutshell, what it is, it's kind of like Stratego, but, because you're sitting across the board from one other player, moving pieces around on the board, trying to maintain dominance. But the trick is, you don't know what your pieces are, because this is my perspective. I'm the red player. All I know is this is my A, this is my K, this is my H. But if you can see, every one of these, there's a little slot. So I have no idea what my H is capable of, because I've lost communication with my agents in the field. So what'll happen is, I'll say, you know what, I want my H to move forward 2 steps. Now Jen can see if that's a legal move. And Jen will have to tell me, yes, that's legal. He could do that. And so then I go ahead and do it, and I mark in my notebook, as this comes with a dry eraser notebook thing, that, you know what, H is capable of moving 2 forward. And suddenly, through a process of elimination, I can start to figure out exactly who H is. And the crux of winning this game is figuring out who your forces are before your opponent is. But the trick is, one of my guys, I have no idea who it is, has this question mark. That means it's a spy. So if I moved H forward 2, and Jen says, yeah, that's totally legal, she could be lying if it's the spy. And then suddenly I've got bad information, and that could just throw everything into question. It's a brilliant, brilliant game. Absolutely lovely. That is Confusion. Confusion, espionage, and deception in the Cold War. All right. Tobago. All right, I know Jen loves this. I would not have been surprised if this had actually made it into her top 10. It must have been, but getting that top 10, that was a real struggle for her. But she loves this. This is one of the few of these games I've done run-throughs for. I haven't done one for Confusion. Let's see. And I haven't done one for this. Is that right? And I haven't done one for Dixit. So far, this is the 3rd game I've shown you that I have no run-through for. So let me spend a little bit more time talking about it. Basically, although, actually, no, this made it into my top 10 for the year it came out, 2009, I think. So actually, I have already talked about it. You can go check that video out for more. But in a nutshell, every time you play, you get this randomly generated tropical island where we, in our little off-road buggies or Jeeps, are driving around very fast trying to find buried treasure. But the way we do that is we have a handful of cards, clue cards. And when I play a clue card to a certain treasure, what that's saying, the clue card might say, this treasure is next to water. And so suddenly I know the treasure on this map could not be in any of these spaces because they're not next to water, but next to a lake. So now I know this treasure has to be somewhere around this lake or this lake. And I can rule out everywhere else on the board. And then later on, I might play a card that says this treasure is in the mountains. And now I know the treasure is only it can only be in these spaces, so it's got rid of another half. But then Jen, she's watching this, and she might be really close over here, and so she'll play a card saying the treasure is next to a beach. And then all of a sudden, the treasure could only be this space. Because with those clues all combined, this is the only place it could be. And Jen played that smartly so that she was in the right place, and then boom, she could get the treasure that I did all the work trying to figure out where it was. But then that's only half the game, because once everybody who contributed to the location of that treasure gets a chance to play this kind of press your luck game, because some of the treasure is cursed. And so, a bunch of cards come out of the treasure chest, and if I'm the one who got the majority of the clues, I get the majority of the control over what do I want to take out of there. But Jen, because she was the one who found it, she gets in on it as well. But you're always worried, am I going to pull a curse card? And it's very stressful. And then the last thing, and this is what Jen actually just told me to make note of silently. There's kind of like Moai, Easter Island statues all over the place. And every time a treasure is found, they represent a spot on the board where unique tokens will wash up on the sands. And if you drive over there and you can get them, they can give you extra bonus moves and whatnot. But the cool thing is, Jen loves doing this every time. When a treasure comes out, these guys have to rotate, one axis in these hexes. And so the rules say to do this, I think. So you rotate and you make a sound. It's just very evocative. It's a silly, fun thing to do, but this is a wonderful gateway game. I really should do a run-through for it someday. It's a real shame. It's a very hard game to find. It's been out of print for quite a while. Rio Grande, Zoxum Spielen. Come on, let's get this game back out there. This is a wonderful, wonderful gateway game. Everybody should have a chance to play Tobago. And now this is the last of the also-rans, folks. Also loves. She loves all of these. These are all her babies. I've done a run-through for Last Will. And actually, I recently did for Last Will and its expansion, Getting Sacked, which is awesome. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, honey. I mean, I've already done the run-through, so I won't talk much about the game. But you love this game because of the humor?
Because of the humor and because it's the complete opposite of what you normally are trying to do.
Right. Yes. Okay. Yeah. I forgot. Jen really loves the fact that this is a game where you start out with a whole bunch of money, and everybody's in a race to get rid of that money, to waste that money, to blow it on trips and bad investments, and with the expansion, with a bunch of stuff, with getting married and all kinds of things. Everybody wants to get rid of their money. So instead of earning points as fast as possible, you want to lose points. And I know it's a simple thing, but Jen just loves that twist. Plus, I mean, you can just tell from the art, this game is hilarious, and it's a very evocative as you're going on these trips around the world and having lavish dinners and going out to the farm and playing with your dogs and just blowing money as fast as you humanly can. So wonderful, wonderful game is Last Will. Okay, folks, now those were the also loved, the 16. And so now, if you'd like to get to the actual top 10, you can hit the button that's on screen for part 2, where we will actually count down the top 10. Also, there are links on the screen right now for all of the games that I have done run-throughs for. Jen, you're standing in my light.
Oh, sorry.
Phew. I have done run-throughs for, so you can check those out, or you can hit the button to go to the top 10 in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.